Episode 5. Canon cameras are great, but in this video, we're going to be talking about mix and matching cameras on the same production. And what does that actually mean in post-production? Will the colors match? Is there any accuracy or consistency across different camera models? Previously on Canon cameras are great, but the Canon tax is real. Seriously, I really do love Canon cameras, but I have to keep it real with you. Just because you're capturing in C-Log2 doesn't mean it's going to match this other body that can also capture in C-Log2. It's counterintuitive, but until you actually use the two cameras and then you bring them into post, you can actually begin to understand how frustrating that can be. I hate to say it, but it's true. For those of us who work or are lucky enough to work across different camera brands, the Canon blinders are coming off. Let me tell you why this has all been swimming around in my head for a bit. There are two companies that I am familiar with that absolutely understand the need for optimized and streamlined workflows. The argument could be made that comparing the Red ecosystem to the Canon ecosystem is simply not fair, because Red and Canon cost of entry price points are so drastically different. No doubt. It's also worth noting that on Red projects, Red assumes you have a lighting budget, and it also assumes that you have at least a small crew to help you on that production. Sony, on the other hand, Sony is side by side with Canon. Pricing is definitely competitive between the two. The big difference between the two is that Sony chooses to allow anyone to record RAW externally via an external recorder, where Canon allows you to record RAW internally into their cameras. And while Canon gives us RAW internal recording, it limits what it pushes out via SDI or HDMI, and it varies based on which model we're talking about. We've all learned to live with that. What about Canon Color? Sony took that out of the equation with the release of the Sony a7S III, the FX3, and the FX6. As far as I'm concerned, based off of what I'm seeing off of projects where I've used these cameras, that barrier is no longer there. And here's where, from my perspective, the Sony strategy turned it up a few notches. Sony's smart. Sony realizes exactly what all of us Canon fanboys, Canon users, what our hesitation is and has been, the whole Canon color thing. So they fixed that. So what's next? Well, we all know that shrinking budgets are real, smaller crews are real, the need for more content, more quality content, and consistency and speed of delivery is also real and growing. Both Canon and Sony know this, and this is why they keep announcing new cameras and releasing new camera bodies. So Sony looks at the whole big picture and says, I want to own that market share. What would it take to tip all those Canon users over the edge so that they could give Sony a shot? And they did just that. By releasing the new Sony a7S III, which is not so new at this point, we all knew it was going to perform exceptionally well in low light. But then Sony drops the FX6. Oh snap, the same sensor as the Sony a7S III? Okay, in case I need XLR, timecode, or a variable ND, does the image quality and color match between the FX6 and the Sony a7S III? And the answer is, yes, it does. Well, that just means my production and workflow just got simplified. And bam, just like that, Sony's like, oh, hang on a second, I got something else. Oh wait, you work with talent on a regular basis? They want tele lights? Or maybe you need to be able to go and get a pickup shot that was completely improvised? You want to cram a camera where? We got you covered. Here's an FX3. And as a Canon user, I'm like, what? What just happened? Sony didn't stop there though. They realized that they have all of us Canon users' attention. So they said, hey, what if we give you one type of media that can work across multiple cameras? In fact, all of the most popular cameras that we make for content creators and indie filmmakers, being the Sony a7S III, FX3, and FX6, what if we gave you one piece of media that works across all of those cameras? Would that help you out? So unified color and unified workflow. And now also unified media. Canon, where do we go from here?